So use your mouse button. You're gonna have to use a mouse.
Yeah. Oh, you drag it to the collection.
Yeah, or you can select your, let's say, one object, go add. So just keep selecting your objects and just go add. And then right click, create shader override. Apply. And made occlusion. And that's it. And then you switch this on eyeball for visibility, and then you can render. So now that when you render it, it should render. There's nothing in your window. So yeah, just make sure everything is within this sort of window, and then try using it. So add all your objects into the collection. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, guys. Let's get started. So first of all, I'm gonna show you guys some websites where you can get resources for post-production in Photoshop. So for instance, you want to get cutout people. This is like the most popular site. Although they usually don't update it very often, but whatever. And it's all free.
There's also a site with more diversity.
Right.
If you're into that.
I think this has diversity.
Where is it?
Right. Uh-oh. None. Okay, whatever. Diversity is good. Okay, so that's I've never learned to pronounce Skalguba. Okay, good.
Skalguba.
Skalguba. We should have some like EVDS people here, right? I thought they did something like that last time.
Oh yeah, we actually have our own website where we have people from our faculty. So students from our faculty, it's on the Ultra Journal website.
Where?
Show it to them, Ultra Journal. I'm in it. You can use me.
That one?
That's the website. Click to
This.
Ultra-Journal.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so
Oh.
Kalgubar.
Skalguba.
There's like guys kissing, and there's like a whole bunch of funny stuff in here.
Right.
You can use it.
Oh, look at Hayden.
See, there's a nice couple there.
Right. Okay, so you got your very own.
Make sure they see you.
Yeah, somewhere in the bottom of the page.
What do you mean bottom of?
I don't know. You're scrolling down so far. Diversity, so much for diversity. They put the diverse guy like way down.
He's a Chinese guy.
I'm not even there. Anyways, that's because
There's some middle fingers
that's-
if you want.
that's
If
'cause I
you're
was
pissed
busy.
off with your render, just use that. Yeah. Oh, here.
Oh,
It's not
diversity. Yep, that's right.
Yeah. Please use.
I would totally use it. In fact, we should use some of that today.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna put that
In a nice render. Okay.
Oh, my red is nice one. Come on. Okay, so Carl Gruber. Oh no, sorry, ultrajournal.net. Right. So that's another resource. I like this resource very much, although not everything is free here, but they have really good stuff. Mostly, I use it mostly for exterior rendering, which we'll touch on in another class. But yeah, you can get people. You can get, come on. Okay, good. You can get people. They're free ones, like that's free. Very good people. And it's like, and it's very, very, very high quality image, which you want to use. You can get skies and so on and so forth. For models, this is like a very popular resource for downloading models. It's got like random stuff, just really industrial design stuff, architecture stuff, whatever. Like just if you're looking for the model of a nut, just check, or a bolt or whatever. Like it usually has random stuff. Evermotion I really like to use, but it's very expensive. So if you want to pay, by all means, just go ahead and the good thing with this is they actually have texture in it, so you don't have to like apply like that would come out like that, and when you put it in your render, it actually renders that way. That being said, you can do a lot of this with, you can do a lot of this with just with Photoshop. So it's totally up to left to you to decide. For textures, right? So you can just like Google whatever you're trying to find, whatever texture you're trying to find, and just put texture beside it. So like right, so you get like this kind of textures, and you can use them for your renderings. You can apply them as like textures in your renderings, and sometimes you might want to say settings or tools rather, tools and say size large, just so you're getting a very good quality image. I think that's okay for now. So that's that. Okay, so a lot of this stuff, that Sumer showed you today would come into play when you want to produce something like this. And again, it's preference. Some people like to have a white render from Maya and just put all the texture in Photoshop. But I find that I spend a lot of time post-producing my images. So especially for interiors, I prefer to just put materials in whatever render I'm using, because I feel like for me it's just faster that way than having to like apply wood to all of this stuff one after the other.
And we want you guys to practice enough where you find your own workflow. Everyone here will have a different workflow, and you're gonna find that when you practice.
Right. So yeah, so like I said, my workflow is put basic materials, like it doesn't have to like come out so poppingly or whatever, like just basic stuff. And then add the little details in Photoshop. And so that's what that looks like when it's done. So the difference is just the glowing light, the background out there, the person, the stones. However, that being said, I'm going to show you how to put wood texture on that if, that's the route you choose to go. So let's, that's another one. So that's what the original render looks like. And that's just like a white color. And then when you post-produce it, you just like make it pop with like more lighting and just put people. This is like an indigenous gathering house. So like you put like indigenous people dancing and other people, diversity, watching. So this one again, like the fire is like post-produced. Let's see if there's an image. Okay, well, that's what it looks like. And then just the stones, the fire, like the background. So just little touch-ups. For exterior rendering anyway, it's more of post-production than actual render stuff. So my interior workflow is more materials in the render software and less post-production. And my exterior is less material in the render software and more post-production. So you guys have to like find out what works for you. Okay, so I'm just gonna bring one of these into Photoshop. So let's take this one. Just drag and place it there. And if at any point you're not following or you get lost or left behind somewhere, just call my name. Right, I can share this with you guys actually if you want, so that you can like let's see. So just find the link there and you can follow. Okay, so again, the first thing you want to do when you get into Photoshop is to unlock that layer, and that's just because I didn't open a new Photoshop file, I dragged my image into Photoshop, so it's become a background layer, and I need it to be an actual layer that I can edit. So just double click on that, and there you go. And now it's a layer. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is touch up the lighting. And again, like what Sumer showed you, how when you like apply a color to like a light bulb and you give it some glow, that's exactly what this is. Just like it's just like a face or something, like a surface. Just apply like a white color, give it some glow. Nothing much. The other thing is, so where all of those materials come to play, I'm going to break this image down so you kind of understand how to use the materials that I showed you to produce something like this. So when you look around you, you try to get a basic sense of how materials work, and it takes some practicing and some researching to do that. So now if you look at your wall, there is a certain level of reflectivity or no level of reflectivity at all on your wall. And if you look at your glass, there is reflectivity and there is refraction. So you've got refraction and reflection and diffuse, like he showed you. I think it's called specular.
Specular, like the tab for specular
Right.
settings.
So that's your reflection, right?
Yeah.
And your refraction is I think it's just called
You play with that in the refraction tab.
where you have the IOR and all of that stuff.
Yeah, like ray tracing.
I wouldn't go into
That's too much detail.
I wouldn't go into the details of refraction, but for reflection, you can produce a good looking render with that. So when you have things like glass or marble surface or like anything, or like your glasses, like anything at all that would be reflective in real life, you want to put, and transparent, you want to put some transparency and you want to put some reflection on that. And again, just try different test renderings to see what looks realistic for you, sorry. When you have things like, this is like a glue lamp column and a glue lamp beam. Now it can be totally flat or it can have some reflectivity. It's going to feel like that door, that wooden door there. And if you look at that wooden door, depending on what angle you look at it from, you might see some reflection of the light on it. So that just means it's like a matte material, like it has just a little bit of reflection. So again, that determines how much reflection you put into the material that you're going to use for that door, for instance. For your wall, I would usually make them flat, because when you put reflection on your wall, number one, it increases your render time drastically. Like it's just, sometimes it's just very, very disastrous. So I'd make it flat, and also so that you don't have so much reflection going on, because if everything is reflecting things, like it's going to be all shiny and bright, and like it's going to feel like you cannot control the light sometimes. The floor, depending on what kind of floor it is again, and depending on how the rendered image looks, you might control the reflection on that. So like this has just a little bit of reflection so that you can see the light like diffused on it in a sense, so like the light from outside. The glow lamp, I think I made that flat just because, I don't know, to reduce render time. This is supposed to be like a metallic kind of panel, so it has to I think it was anisotropic or something.
Anisotropic material.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like an anisotropic material where it has reflection, but the reflection is not like a mirror kind of reflection. It's like a distorted reflection, like a glossy reflection, right?
You can also use the Arnold default material and play with some of the presets in there.
Right. So that's like a glossy kind of reflection. While the glass, if you look at the glass, you can see it's like almost like a mirror kind of reflection, except it's transparent. So you can see like the reflection of these lights on them. And it's like, it's not the same as this, where like this one feels like it's a glowing kind of reflection. Okay, so again, just study all of those things, do test renders and like see what works. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do here is touch up the lights, yeah. So for that, just take a brush and you wanna create a new layer for everything you do.
You want to give them
Yeah, they have it. You guys have the file is on the blog. So
This
like,
file here. Does everyone have it?
so I just placed it on the blog. Let's see. So it should be the second link. So that one. Just copy that, download it. I don't know if you guys are trying to download it, but if you're still trying to download it, I can wait a minute. Is there anyone trying to download it? Okay, we're good. Okay, so yeah, that brush size is so huge. I'm just gonna. So in Photoshop, when you have your brush, if you want to reduce the size, just right click. Right click, and you have options for your brush. So you've got a hard brush, you've got a soft edge brush. Let's bump down the size. I'm gonna make this size just slightly bigger than the line of that light, so you can see that. Okay, and do that. And I'm gonna use. You can use any color. I think usually I like to use something that is almost yellow. Well, no, almost cream, like just slightly off-white. So what's cream? Let's see. Yeah, that kind of thing. So let's use that and just click and hold down Shift. And since it's a straight line, that works. So just click, hold down Shift, and go to the next point and just click, and then it draws a straight line for you. And in order to get a really nice light effect, you have to play with the blend mode, and you can just try out different stuff. I usually like to use color dodge because color dodge like gives you a lighting effect. So if I used color dodge on that, I'm gonna reduce the opacity to like 40. So now you have like a nicer glow, or in a sense a more realistic glow. You can put another layer on top of that and increase the brush size slightly and just draw another line. And actually, I'm gonna undo that. I'm gonna make the color like swatches. Good, yeah, this is what I like to work with. I'm gonna make the color like dark brown. Let's delete the first one I did. I'm gonna make it dark brown. I find that gives like a nicer effect. Let's see, okay. And let's try color dodge. Okay, that's too, I don't know, yellow when you dodge it. Okay, okay, let's use this color. You sort of just have to like play around with stuff and see what works. I've done this like so many times, but I always do the same thing. Just find myself playing around with colors, see what, because every project is different, and so color dodge. Okay, I like that better. And then I'm just gonna reduce the opacity. So that looks more like if you're looking at one of those bulbs, they're like the kind of intensity that you would see. Would be something like that. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw it on all of the other ones. And then you have to also realize that the further away an object is from you, the smaller it is. So when you're applying an effect like this, you're reducing your brush size as you go. Because if I use the same brush size, it's gonna look unrealistic. So I just made that slightly smaller. Draw that. Okay, so I like how that's looking. Now you'll notice that I placed like a line light behind the glue lamp, sort of to reflect down on this panel. And so I'm just gonna do like light wash on the panel in Photoshop. And to do that, you wanna draw a masking region around the part that you're gonna be painting, because we're gonna paint that light on it. So I'm just gonna draw something like that. Right. Okay, and just So that edge is where I really need my lighting to go, and I need it to like diffuse down onto the rest of the panel. So I'm going to increase my brush size, like really big brush size, so I get like a really nice diffusion. And then if you just like click and drop stuff, now you get like a nice lighting kind of glow. If you wanted to touch that up a little more, you can create another layer. Let's try and use a soft light so it has like more glow. And I'm gonna use like a very light yellow. Oh, okay, that's too much. I'm gonna reduce the opacity of my brush to 21. And I'm just gonna paint on that. So like, excuse me, that's a nicer sort of light effect. Now, if for instance you want to put people behind a glass and you want to make them look real. Now, okay, let's back up. Let's say that room is a theater, okay? So when you're looking at a theater from outside with glass, I mean, if something is going on in there, it would have some lighting, it would have people in it, it would have whatever whatever else it's supposed to have to make it look like it's being used. So let's just start with some lighting. So again, you want to draw a region around, and you're drawing these regions because you don't want to paint over something else that you don't intend to paint over. So you guys can go into really nice details and like just exclude the mullions and stuff, but like we don't have time for that. So I'm just gonna like skip the columns and so let's, and you want to draw, oh sorry, okay, see, so that's the edge line of my glass, and that's where I want to draw from. So I'm just gonna go that way.
You deselected the first one.
What? Oh, right.
Okay.
Sorry. So, good, that always happens. So when you select something and you're going to add to the selection, if you're using any of these tools, selection tools, you have to come to that little panel up there and say add to selection. I think that's...
Maybe you keep shift, right?
That's add.
Shift.
Okay, or you can also hold shift and let's see. So you can also hold shift and just click.
You can release shift.
Right. So just click shift, click it, release shift. Now this is not going to be as nice because I'm including my mullions, and when I put the light filter, it's going to look like the light is going through the mullions. So yeah, you actually want to exclude the mullions from this selection. And an easy way to do that, I think, would just be to use rectangle and just subtract. So that's addition, that's subtraction, that's intersection. So, and you know it's subtraction when you see that minus sign beside the cursor. So just do that, subtract that, subtract that, subtract that. And so on and so forth. Okay, so let's add some, so that's my dodge layer. I'm just gonna type dodge. And that's my soft light. And in Photoshop, working in Photoshop, it's really nice that you name your layers and like organize them properly, because your layers just like become so many so quickly. So like you want to make sure that it's organized, so like when you're looking for something, you know where it is. So let's use a lighter color, and with a 21 opacity, let's go to dodge and just put some light dodge in there, and then we're going to do some soft light. Okay, well, I mean, it's rough, but you get the idea. So now the other thing is you want to watch out for instances like this where like all of this stuff is just thinking about how a space actually works. I know that if this place is lit up, then there's going to be some light reflection somewhere here, like on the floor, that would just come out, like that the floor would catch coming out from the room, because I have that same condition here where like I've got sunlight from outside and there's a little bit of light reflection on the floor. So yeah, just like reduce the brush size. You want to make your opacity really low and just play with some soft light on the floor. And there's like a flood of light coming from there, so it's also going to wash down this way. So just do that. Okay. So now let's play with some gravel in there. Okay, let's go to texture. Where was that? Okay. Right. It was something like this I used, I think. So, is everyone good? Okay. So let's copy that and go back to Photoshop. And let's paste that. Well, the problem with copying and pasting is like it doesn't keep it as a smart object, so it means you can lose the resolution very easily. But that's easy. I'm just gonna convert that to smart object, and I'm converting it to smart object because I'm gonna push it and pull it and skew it and stuff, and I want to preserve the quality until I'm done doing all the transformations that I need to do. And yep. If you downloaded it and you dropped it, it's going to come in as a smart object. So you see that X, that's asking you to drop the image. So just put it in position, click enter, and you see that it's a smart object automatically. But because you copied and pasted it, because I copied and pasted it, it wouldn't come in as a smart object. So yeah, let's. So what we want to do is put this gravel in there because that's where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to drag that, and I'm going to press Control and T. And Control T allows me to transform the object. So after pressing Control T, if you right click, there are different transformations you can do. There is a scale, rotate, skew, perspective, distort, wrap, whatever. I'd use a skew and a distort. Actually, let's just go with distort. So I'm going to put this first sort of corner point there, and I'm just going to, so you see that, like you can drag any corner and like it just responds. So let's start with this middle.
You can also do that just as a shortcut. Instead of selecting distort, just press Control. Then you can select your corners and push and pull them, just like how Seyi was doing.
Right. So I'm going to scale that down first, actually. So let's say, right. Okay, so, and now let's distort. I'm going to put that here and put that there. So I'm just like going through this very quickly. You guys can just like practice more.
So just to let you guys know, we're actually ahead of what we're supposed to be teaching. I just looked at the course outline as well. So we'll go more in depth into this rendering in the next tutorial.
Right. So the reason why this, so you would assume that it's supposed to start at that level, but I'm putting it at this level because, can anyone tell me why? Good, because I've got depth, and I want to be able to represent that depth with the image looking as real as it can possibly look. Now, when you're representing the depth in this kind of image, you've got that line, these two edges there where you're looking at, you're not backing it. So it means you're going to see the edge of the stone, and you want to be able to sort of carve that out somehow. while the edge that is like towards you, it's going to be a straight line because the stones are beneath that edge, and like you cannot see the edge of a stone. So let's just do that and press enter. Now I'm going to reduce the opacity just to make sure that it's in a good, okay, let's line that up. Right, so now I'm going to go to brushes, right click, oh, let's convert that to, let's rasterize that. And I'm going to right click and look for sort of like a noise brush or something, anything that just has like a rough edge. So let's use one of these ones. So, okay, opacity 100%. So that's what that brush looks like, okay. And this is a quick and dirty way to just like get rid of like the stones or whatever. Okay, let's reduce that. Actually, no, I'm not using, well, okay. Another thing that I should mention is when you're working in Photoshop, you can actually erase stuff or you can mask stuff. And if you erase things, then you cannot get them back. Like, because you might have done it so far back in the history and like there's no way you can go back in. So sometimes it's good to just mask it instead. So of course, if you're going to erase, just use the eraser and like, that's erasing.
So erasing and deleting would be destructive rendering, and then what he's going to show you is non-destructive.
Right, which means you can preserve the original image in case you ever wanted to change anything. So to mask, just so that little icon is your masking layer, and if you click that, it puts like so it adds that white blank stuff beside your board, and when so if you clicked on this, there's like that little white border around it. That means that's where you're working on, and if you clicked on your masking layer, then that's where you're working on. So we want to work in the masking layer. And when you're working in the masking layer, you're using brushes. Your black is a transparent, your white is an opaque. So if we have a black color, that means we're like erasing. If we have, oh, never mind. So if we have that black color and we switch to a white, it means we are undoing what we did. We're like just repainting the image, essentially. So let's use a black. Yeah, so black.
Oh, no, I mean flipping mask.
The masking layer, just click that. Select the layer and just click that.
So,
Click this. Is everyone good? Okay. So let's zoom in and okay, I'm gonna use a hard brush. Okay. So maybe I can use another one. Yeah, I'll use that instead. So just like click. Oh crap. Nah, that's a terrible brush. Let's bend that back. Okay, let's use this one. Okay, I'm just gonna paint over it. So what you're basically trying to do is get like a nice or like a rough edge.
like a bumpy edge.
Like a bumpy kind of edge. Like when I did this, I took my time and like, let's see if I can.
And you're going to take a good 10 minutes on this.
Right, so like I actually sort of like erased all of those edges. So I'm just rushing through it, but that's what you want to do. You want to like just take your time and like, and again, like honestly, I think I'm just so particular about certain details, but like if you don't give a shit about it, just don't bother. Like, yeah.
You won't get penalized for the quality of your
No.
code.
Like if I place that image there, it's fine. Like that's not fine for me, but it's fine for like standard, right? So so yeah, let's not spend too much time on that. Just erase stuff and you'll be good.
So, in your last photo, did you just kind of more like, you have pretty clean lines is that like magic wand tool, or did you really go through that?
You can use the magic wand too.
Yeah,
You can, okay, right, so,
Lasso polygon.
Right.
Select.
so I can, and I think I used the better image than this gravel. I used one that like, I could actually get a 3D looking thing
Yeah.
when I scaled it. So I could just use that and say, well, here, follow every black line and try to get every edge line out, like, you know,
Right.
and just delete, sorry, and just, let's fill that with black. Right, and you have that, right?
Right.
So if you can like actually carefully carve it out, that's good. Like you can use, so Photoshop, you can like really do anything. Like just use whatever tool feels convenient for you. Yeah. Okay. So next, let's put some background image out there. So I'm just gonna go back to VI Shopper, and let's say, actually no, let's just browse some random. So let's say this was the background, okay? And it can be a photo that you take. So I'm just gonna copy image because we don't have so much time. And I'm gonna paste it here. Actually, let's go back. Save image. So again, you wanna look for a large image just so you're maintaining like image quality and all of that. So let's just drag that in here. This is a very, very small image, but it works. I'm gonna click enter. Let's reduce the opacity. So when we reduce the opacity, we just wanna make sure that this image is like aligned with like the perspective of like the view and stuff. So I'm gonna rasterize that. Actually, before I do, let's transform it. Control T. I'm just gonna distort. Move that up, bring that in. I'm gonna use perspective to, so when you use perspective, just click on one point and like it just sort of draws the image into a point perspective. And let's just say, okay, let's just place that. So now you want to cut out this image and just fit it into the background. And I'm just gonna select, draw some boxes. Oh, yeah, let's use the addition. I'm gonna draw some boxes to like cut out the mullions. Okay, and I'll just like draw. Oh. Sorry, I'm adding. Yeah. Okay, and let's do this one. Okay, so if I just deleted that, oh, right, I gotta rasterize that. Okay, another quick thing is like when you have something complex selected and you don't want to have to reselect that thing just in case you made a mistake or something, like you lost it somehow, just right click and say save selection and just say window or whatever and click OK. And so I'm going to delete this first and then I'll show you how to load that selection back. So let's just delete that. So if you wanted to load a selection, right click and say, so you have to be using one of the selection tools. Okay, let's go to select. Right, load selection. So go to select, go to load selection, and you can click the window, click OK, and it loads it back. Okay. So after doing that, just like use a, let's try a multiply. Well, a multiply works. Let's see what a soft light looks like. Good. So you want to use something that allows, so if you use the multiply, that image looks like something framed behind the glass. You want to use a blend mode that allows you to just see the image through like a flood of light. So if we use the soft light and we increase the opacity, so then it looks like there's actually something behind, like, and then let's just put some people. EVDS Carl Gruber. Let's put some save image. Let's just like clone him and just like
There should be another one.
one from the future, one from the past. Is there another one?
I think so.
Okay, we'll just make it all about Sumer.
5 more. No.
Anyways, okay, so let's go back. So yeah, right, just bring Sumer into the render. Drag him in, enter, enter. Wow, look at that. Okay, let's hide one of the Sumers. And let's transform this Sumer. So just drop the scale. Okay, so now one thing you guys need to take note of, which is very, very important to get a render that at least looks good, is when you're standing and you're taking a photograph, you're taking that photograph at your high sight level, like, you know, like for me, I'm like not so tall, so mine is probably about 1.5 meter from the ground, or 1.6. Someone like Sumer would be like 1.75. So what I usually do is set my camera height to that height. And that makes me just take my render from like a human's eyesight level. And when you take your render, you can either look up or down or straight. So depending on where you're looking, that would determine what your sort of like horizon line is. And the reason why that is important is when you're putting people in your render, you want to make sure that they are properly scaled. So like with respect to the camera view and camera angle. And I'll just show you a quick point. So when you look at this image, everything sort of disappears into that point. So which means somewhere around the middle of that height is my vanishing point. So if you press Ctrl R to show your ruler, you can just click on the ruler and drag down and you can get a guide. So when you put your guide down to that line, that's your vanishing point. And you can easily just right line. So just draw a line from like, oh, sorry. So when you're drawing a line, put it on a new layer. Okay. So draw a line from your 4 points to like that vanishing point. And why you're doing that is because the further you go, actually no, let's not use, so that's a vanishing point, but then you also have the vanishing point of your high sight and like the height of the person in the camera. So depending on how you want that to play, like if I look at this image, if I put someone's head around that height in that distance, it's going to look wrong. So I'm going to move that line up a little to around here. I think that would look right. So I'm going to move that line. Draw another line. So from here to there to there. So this is just a guide. So like if I placed Sumer anywhere in this render, his head has to be below that line. You see that? If I placed him there, that's good. If I placed him here, that's not good. It just means that I have to reduce so I'm going to transform. Uh-oh. What's going on? Okay, I'm going to convert that path to a line. So let's say create vector, define custom shape, and just click OK. And I think there should, let's see. Okay, that's some working. Sorry? I just want to finish it. Okay. So, sorry, new guides from shape. Uh-oh. Well, anyways, whatever. I'm going to delete that. Sorry. I can't remember how to convert that path into a line. But the point I'm trying to make is when you want to put people in, just, you got to like do it and make sure that their heads are aligned in like in perspective to your camera. So just, let's put Sumer there. Put him up here. Say okay. Okay, now this guy is lower in elevation, so just drag him down and click OK. And then there's another Sumer somewhere down there. I'm just gonna scale. So there is like that imaginary line that runs, and you just place everyone's head below that and adjust their legs to like whatever height you think seems reasonable. And yeah, and like just a few more touch-ups, like with lights, you can just like, when you have light coming from outside, the same trick, just use the color dodge. And use that color and just, let's reduce that to like 13% and just place like some light. So yeah, I just like mess around with dodging stuff, like color dodging for lights and effects.
So in the next tutorial class, we'll go a little bit more in depth into Rhino to Maya to Photoshop, making two different layers, so a base layer, occlusion layer, and then running through a whole exercise of populating an entire rendered scene. We'll have a model ready for you guys so you can follow along using that, and we'll also touch on some basic animation techniques in Maya and camera manipulation. So very effective for your presentations.
Right. Okay. So and when you're applying a texture, just the same way we applied that stone, you just place it on, the object and like skew it, pull it.
Any questions?
Is this, yeah?
The Boolean beam that you just pointed out.
Yeah.
That was done in Photoshop?
No, that was done in the rendering. Yeah. Right.
Any other questions? You guys feel free to shoot us a message or an email if you have questions while you're working through.
Yeah, I'll just come down to the studio.
And if you have trouble with Maya Workspace, just send me your model.
Okay. Was this useful? Okay.
So I was looking at the pipeline. Okay.
No, we're not.
Like today we are supposed to be doing.
I have one question. We saw saw like when you guys can get like Photoshop people and like models and stuff. Right. Is there like you said because you use 3ds Max, so do I. I have V-Ray for it. Is there like a website that you recommend to get V-Ray materials from? Opposed to like having to make your own.
The best and like the one I've used for like the longest time is what I should Akshidas.
Sorry, what is it?
Akshidas. Like Arc Materials Akshidas. So yeah.
Because like I know there's flying architecture, but that was more for Rhinos here. It's a something.
Right.
But we need material.
So like material for V-Ray for 3ds Max, you want to use Evermotion. The only thing is Evermotion is like expensive and like. So what I do is just create them.
You create.
Yeah, I can show you if you want. If you want me to show you how to create them.
My computer's like dead right now.
Yeah, like just shoot me an email.
Okay.
Book an appointment, like whatever.
Like I got the I have a few tutorials because like I've used V-Ray on it before, but it's not like the greatest. So I typically end up going to like a different rendering, which is like Keyshot, which is a different rendering.
Like all of this rendering is just like if you go to my website, like all of the rendering I do there is with V-Ray and in 3ds Max. Like so it depends. Like you have to know how to use it.
Yeah.
Like do you have V-Ray on your computer?
I do.
In 3ds Max. Yeah. So we can just talk about it.
Okay.
Yeah, like that was V-Ray and then Photoshop. That's just V-Ray.
Yeah.
Like very little Photoshop, most of it. Like the only Photoshop stuff is this, like that background. Yeah. Everything else is just V-Ray.
Yeah.
And the person, of course.
Yeah, I remember you showing.
That's V-Ray.
Yeah,
All
so
V-Ray.
nice.
That's V-Ray. V-Ray. So.
Because I think I found a couple. I haven't tested them out though.
Right.
It's just easier than having to sit there and make the material.
Right.
If I can find something
Yeah.
similar. In the
Honestly, like even when you find materials, you have to edit them.
Yeah,
'Cause,
exactly.
Like,
But at least it gives you a starting point.
Yeah.
Like,
but the
where it
best,
goes.
what I would recommend is make your materials. Like it's better if you do that because when you find materials that people make, you know how to like actually use it and make it do what you want it to do.
Right.
In a sense, like yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'll do that. Thanks, guys.
It's kind of like another question. I can never get it to trim or cut lines properly. I don't know how.
Lines.
Like when you use like the trim command, like it'll do the cuts.
Oh,
then,
right.
like it won't like separate it. Then it's really
Let's see. This Photoshop. Okay.
or like
But the curves is not showing. Yeah, the lines don't come in. It has to be like a solid object.
So like when you're trimming an
Like a solid
image.
plane,
yeah,
and
like
you
when you're
have
going
to
to trim
have
like
some
a
that look
section,
like
just
solid
like that
and stuff to
to
it.
like, click
So
it.
the curves that you have,
Right.
Like I
edges
can never get it to
lines,
separate. Like I
Okay.
have the line.
Okay.
surface, yeah. Surface
So it
should
might
come
just
in.
be a matter of like
It should.
selecting inverse. So let's see. I'm just gonna drag a random photograph.
Send me a link to your
So
Rhino
if you
3D model.
so let's make that a layer. Okay. If you selected a portion and you just click delete, it takes that out. Okay. If you wanted to delete what was outside of that portion and you right click and you selected inverse, then you can select what's around it and then delete it. And now if
You
you
just go into
control
the
D to
channel
like
box,
deselect,
and then there's got all the rotations.
Get
It's
how
all
to
the
do
way
that.
to
Like, say if you want to like, if you have a bunch of line work,
Right.
You know how in Rhino you can trim it and stuff.
oh right,
Yeah,
like
but in,
like actual lines.
Yeah, like,
Oh.
yeah, like splitting them. Can you do that in Rhino? Because that's what I'm having trouble with.
Was it Rhino? Was it a Rhino question or a Photoshop question?
Like,
Oh, it's not
I mean, like,
so
the
click
function-
that last, yeah.
In Rhino,
yeah, in
in Photoshop.
Okay.
like say if I
Oh.
had messy line work and I wanted to clean it up in Photoshop or like.
I don't know. I don't do line work in Photoshop,
Yeah.
and like I wouldn't advise you to do it because
Yeah.
it's really a photo based thing, not
Yeah.
like you can do that in Illustrator.
Here, have
You can
a-
I can show you how to trim stuff in Illustrator, but like in Photoshop, when you draw a path, it's like for guide, not like a line.
That they do in Illustrator because I have the
right.
same problem in Illustrator
That's it.
too. I'm sorry, that's
No,
sounds
no,
like a
it's
dumb
fine.
question.
No, it's not. It's not. Like
So here's what you do. You
I
just
remember
like
when I didn't know how to trim a line in Illustrator.
select your objects
yeah,
that you need to rotate.
in, when I was in foundation, yeah.
Oh.
So like that
Look
was
at
like
the
even
axis and
halfway
you see
into the
which,
semester.
along which axis you need to rotate.
Oh, okay, I guess in Illustrator, it creates the guidelines for the trim, but it never
Right.
cuts it. I'm just like, why?
So what I do in Illustrator is when I have a line, I just add, if I want to trim it here, I just add two points and a middle point, and I just delete that middle point, and it trims. Like that's a very easy way to do it.
What icon do you use for that?
Yeah, I'll show you.
Either CC Cleaner or IOBIT. Those are two pretty popular ones. I use IOBIT, but I used to use CC Cleaner. Apparently it's better, but you just download like the installer.
Run IPR.
How's your project going?
The site analysis?
Yeah,
It's going okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
In studio?
Yeah.
You can't see
We've done
anything.
environmental, so it's not that bad.
Yeah.
You could like turn
And,
lights
like,
on and stuff.
the abstract graphics.
It's like a third-party app. It's like
I'm over, yeah. I don't know how
right.
to, like, what do I do?
Abstract it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I really messed up on that assignment. I remember. Like it was. I did nice drawings and like nice stuff, but like
because you don't get the option to like Windows uninstall.
my model was like not abstracted enough.
Yeah, then you
It was just like yeah. It was just yeah. I didn't get the idea of abstracting stuff too. So
I do, but why would I ever play?
okay, why is this taking so long?
Exactly.
So, do you have to measure something then abstract that? Or like, did I go to a higher level of abstraction?
Well, it doesn't seem like you have any lights on.
It's like very relative to what you want it to be. Like if I was gonna abstract this bottle,
Yeah.
I'll just do like a cylinder. That's like for me, that's an abstraction of the bottle, right? So yeah, so it's like very.
You can go to like.
Here, I'll show you what
That's the light,
some
that's
guys
for sure.
did.
So like skydome light. For
So if you go to EVDS
but yeah, play with those
graphics,
lights.
.wordpress.com,
with the
that's
lights in
where
there.
our
And
works
then you have to
are.
move
I
them
looked
around.
through
Like
and a lot
the
of
base
people
one
did
light, which you have
sound
to
and
go
did like
with
models
point
based
in the
on
right
sound. I'm just
direction.
like,
Right. I think I did views or so.
How do
So
I,
like yeah,
move
like-
around, because I can't,
Back to-
no, yeah, with that, but like,
let's see.
yeah, sure. Oh,
Yeah, you just click and drag the.
right. So that was a.
yeah, but if I.
This was
wanna,
Amy's.
like, you know how I know
So that was a model, and it was just like a bunch of dowels. I think that's like really dumbed down from like, and I think the dowels just like represent this information, right? So like, in a sense, it's not colored boxes that you put there, like it is on the drawings, right? It's just taking the drawings and like just
Yeah.
taking some information from
Yeah, no problem.
the primary information and just like reducing it to some extent, and like yeah. So like it can really be, like don't be afraid to explore with it. Like it's fine. Okay, so if you went new and jeez, my computer's so slow. Okay. Sorry.
suffer.
Okay, so if you add a line, you know, and you wanted to split in the middle, so I would just use a pen tool and long click on that to bring up the options and say add anchor point. And I'll zoom in there and just drop a point there, drop another point, drop another point. So I've got 3 points, and I'm going to delete the middle one. I'm going to use the direct selection tool to select that middle point and just delete it. And then you have 2 lines. Yeah.
So it doesn't work with the pen tool. So if you do something in the pen tool and try to do this, it won't
Right.
work.
It would work. Like so, if you draw a line with the pen tool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna run to studio. I'll see you in studio and then.
Right, okay. And you use the add anchor point. So that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and that's it. Like, and you can even like select that point, and like if you wanted to reduce that, I could add like another point here, and just like select that and delete that. But there's another way to like you can slice it. It never works
And
when I try it.
I keep trying it. It just never works. I don't understand.
Yeah, I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
Or you can erase it.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh no. So I'll select that line and then I'll just erase it.
Okay,
Like
sounds good.
that also works. Yeah.
It's just that I kept trying to use the slice tool.
Yeah, it does. I've never figured it out. Like not since the first day I started using Illustrator. So
Thank you so much.
no worries. You're welcome.